Hey friends, how you doing today? Oh boy, do we have a good show for you. I have got the best job there is because I get the opportunity to use him for her radio, Women's Hot Topics, to bring to you the latest, what's happening in this world. And today I'm so honored to have our guest with us today, Senator Julia Coleman. Thank you, Senator, for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me back.
I have been following you since our last interview we did. We did an interview back, get this, it was November 28th, 2020, as well as December 5th, 2020, and it was called Women in Politics. And friends, if you want to find it, go to number 125 on Him for Her Radio, Women's Hot Topics, or number 126. And this is when Senator was just Senator-elect. She'd just been elected. So those of you who are listening, I know we have people throughout the United States as well as in other countries that are listening. I want to introduce my guest a little bit with you if I can. Senator Julia Coleman is a member of the Minnesota State Senate. Senator Coleman is a vice chair of the Taxes Committee and serves on the K through 12 Education and Transportation Committees. And you know what I love the most about Senator Coleman? She does not mess around. Just in her first legislative session, she authored and passed many bills to provide better resources for students, working mothers, children, and her community. She is the daughter of a law enforcement officer. Naturally, public safety is a top priority of hers as well, supporting safe neighborhoods and those in the blue who protect all of us. Senator Coleman lives in Waconia with her husband, Jacob, and together they have three sons under the age, get this, girls, of 3. Adam and identical twins, Charles and James. And this explains why Senator Coleman is an avid coffee enthusiast and can typically be found with a cup of coffee in her hand. I get it. 3 kids, a husband. Oh, girl, you are busy. Welcome back, Senator.
Thank you so much. I was just reminiscing about the last time I was on the show, and I didn't know it at the time, but actually those little twins were with me as well. So it's been a lot of life changes since we last spoke.
When you were elected as the youngest female senator in history. Is that still the case?
That's still the case now. We have an election coming up in November, and I think that record will be broken, but I'm actually looking forward to that. It was that way for about 30 something years. And when I finally broke that record, I said, I hope it's not another 30 years.
Well, you broke the ceiling is what you did. And that's amazing. And I'm so proud of you. Way to go. We need some young blood, so to speak, in the Senate. And I think that you will just continue to make a powerful impact for change. So I want to talk a little bit with you, if I could, about first balancing being a mom. And, as you had mentioned, you didn't know that you were pregnant at the time when I interviewed you last. Then you were, you found out that you were having twins on the way. I mean, you had just got elected as senator. What were your feelings? How did you feel? How are you going to balance all this? What were your thoughts?
My first thought was God will provide a way. And because there is no way I could have possibly come up with the answer myself for how I'm going to make that work. My son was only 18 months old when the twins were born, and the job at the Senate, it's incredibly demanding. It's the most meaningful work I've done, but it's very demanding job. And I just had to completely work on faith the entire time I was pregnant with the twins, the entire time they were in the hospital. And then my whole first legislative session with 3 under the age of 3 at home. It's a lot of prayer and a lot of coffee.
Yeah. And, I'm sure that your husband gives you a lot of support as well.
Yeah, he absolutely does. It's such a team job. It's such a team effort. There has to be a lot of give and take and a lot of compromise and balance.
Yeah, it is a team effort for sure. And I can't imagine how you handled this journey. It wasn't an easy pregnancy. Can you share with us a little bit about your pregnancy with your twins?
Yeah, everything was going great the first couple of ultrasounds. And then one day, the ultrasound tech got really quiet and brought in the doctor. And they explained to us that our boys were facing 2 challenges, one called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. And then my baby A, Charles, was facing something as well called selective intrauterine growth restriction, which basically meant that he had a bad connection to me. And since they're identical, they should be growing at the same rate. And he was significantly smaller, and it was starting to show that it was impacting his internal organ development as well. And there was a point in time, because the boys were connected, they shared one placenta, that doctor said, look, your baby A isn't going to make it, more likely than not. And when he passes, because he's connected to his brother, if he clots and causes a stroke in the other one, you'll lose both. And so if you want to bring one of them home, your best bet is to terminate the pregnancy with baby A and just focus on baby B. Well, we're Catholic, we're pro-life. That was never an option for us. But that created even more stress as I would lay in bed and wonder, am I condemning both of my babies to die by not heeding this medical advice? And my older brother called me, I'll never forget, and said, you know, if I were in the same situation, I'd want to fight it out with my brother. I'd want to risk dying for my brother. I'd want to be in the NICU. I'd want to be born early for him. And that's when I knew I made the right decision and started sleeping well at night and said, come what may. And what came were two healthy little boys at 33 weeks who are probably tearing apart the inside of my house.
You guys got to get on YouTube, because we're on YouTube, Him for Her Radio, Women's Hot Topics. And Senator Julia Coleman is sitting outside her house. And why did you decide to pick outside the house, Senator?
Well, I spent about 20 minutes trying to find one room, one corner of the house where you couldn't hear all the laughing and screaming and playing and fighting amongst all three of my little guys. And so said, okay, I'm going outside. I hope none of my neighbors are mowing their lawns this afternoon. Can't hear
You know, that's what I love about you. You're so real. This is life, people, and you're a mother. And those of us that have been mothers or are mothers, we get it. I mean, we understand. And then to be a senator on top of it, with all the challenges that go hand in hand with that, you know, balancing being a mom and a senator, I can't even imagine. But the children came out healthy and well. You know, you've nurtured them. I remember on one of your posts on May 23rd, 21, you said you finally reunited with your babies, and you've got these pictures of your sweet little babies. And friends, if you're on Facebook, please find her there, because you'll be able to see all of these pictures that she posted while being in the hospital and the trials they went through. And you had so many people praying for you. How has your faith really developed you as a mother going through this?
You know, the faith growth has been not just for me, but for a number of people as well. We were initially hesitant to share what was going on with our boys. You know, when I was running, people already thought she's not going to have time for this job. And we didn't want to give the impression that I was going to be pulled in any other direction. But I had a friend who knew what was going on reach out and said that her mother, out of the blue, had a dream that there was an entire stadium of people praying for our little boys. And I decided I wanted to make that happen. And so we started sharing what was going on. And it was unbelievable. I'd have pastors from northern Minnesota, from Texas, from all over say, hey, someone wrote about you in our prayer book. Our entire congregation's praying for you. I would have people I've never met sending emails to my Senate address saying, my whole family's praying for you. My whole church is praying for you. And to people to watch this miracle unfold in real time. I've had friends say, look, I don't pray, but I did for the first time for your little boys. And to watch this unfold, it shook me to my core. So to watch them kind of become an avenue for people to explore and get closer to God has been one of the most beautiful things about being their mother.
You know, and I'm really glad you made that decision, because not only are we praying, we're traveling across the United States in our RV, interviewing people and seeing what God is doing, but it gives us a chance to have more of an intimacy with the senator. You know, I know that a lot of senators don't put their personal life out there, but these babies were prayed for, lifted up, encouraged, and you were so wonderful about posting on a regular basis what the status was and where you were at. And I'll never forget May 18th, they turned 1 year old around Mother's Day. And, you know, a lot of people didn't think this was going to happen. the doctors being one of them. And so praise God that they're healthy and robust and they're so cute. And this morning you posted a photo of them at 5 a.m, all dressed, drinking their drinking their juice boxes. Tell us why you posted that this morning.
I just have had people say that I feel like they're my babies too, because I was so invested in them. I was so invested in the pregnancy and on my knees praying for them every single night. And so I like to bring people along on that journey with them. It's the least I can do, because I truly believe without that prayer, I wouldn't be on that journey myself. And so I like to share it with the rest of the world and remind them that there are miracles out there every single day.
They're absolutely adorable. And so share with me, as a mom of 3 young children, as a wife and as a senator, what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, typically we're up by about 5 with the crew. I'll get them ready for the day, get them some breakfast, and then I'll go wake up Jake and tell him, hey, it's your turn. I got to go get ready for work. And then, as vice chair of taxes, that's an 8:30 meeting down in St. Paul. So I'm usually out the door by about 7 a.m. We have a great village, a great team of people that helps us, including our wonderful, amazing live-in au pair who lives with our family and loves our boys like her own. And then my last committee of the day gets out at 4:30, and I race back home so I can be there for the craziness of bed, bath, and dinner and getting everyone ready. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have one garbage truck going by, and then hopefully it should be quiet after that.
Hey, no problem. It won't be the first garbage truck that has interrupted some of our interviews. So you must just pass out at night then. The kids get into bed. Are you able to have any time alone, just a chance for you to, recharge?
I would like to say that they go to bed and then I go to bed, but there's so much. Moms know this. There's getting food ready for the next day. There's making the bottles for the next day. There's cleaning the house. And then there's always I want me time. I want time to soak in the tub, to scroll on Instagram, to talk to some of my girlfriends on the phone. And so it's usually a later night for me. I've gotten really good at functioning on about 5 or 6 hours sleep. A lot of times too, you got to get ready for your bill hearings bright and early in the morning, because you'll get less than 24-hour notice that your bill is up in committee the next day, especially towards the end of session. So it's usually several hours after they go to bed, I'm finally shutting my eyes. But we've been running on adrenaline and faith and caffeine, and everyone's still together in here. So it seems to be wicked.
Well, you'd never know, because you look absolutely beautiful. You guys, please come on YouTube and check it out. I'm so impressed by you. And, really, you're kind of my hero. I love the fact that you're standing up for what is right. You're standing up for causes that a lot of people are not talking about. You had made a post that you said you kindly gave away half of your supply of Enfamil to a family that needed it more than you. Let me ask you, how are you handling this shortage of baby formula, and what can be done about it?
Working in politics, one of the great things is you make friends across the entire country. And so when I posted that, I haven't been able to find what my boys need for several weeks in stores. I had friends ship me some from Texas. I had friends ship me some from Florida, just to make sure that we could get by. And yes, a mother reached out who had a baby much younger than my boys, that my boys, we can get away with it if we swap out a bottle of formula for some oat milk with some vitamin drops. But little babies, that's really not going to work for them. So we said, okay, God will provide. Let's give away what we have now and get more later if that's a possibility. And it's been heartbreaking going, for a while I was going to our local Target every single day looking for some. And there would be moms just holding their head in their hands in the aisle as it's empty for the second week in a row, the third week in a row, and going there every single day, and the shelves are just bare. Driving around, my husband Jake had to go to Hudson, Wisconsin at one point to find a container of what our boys use. I'm in several Facebook groups of moms around the country trying to help each other out. If they find some at their store, even if it's not the brand their babies use, they'll buy it, they'll post it, and some other mom across the country needs it. And it's sad because this is something people were ringing the alarm for a long time. And it wasn't until babies started getting hospitalized because they couldn't get the formula they needed that it became a priority on the national scene. And I think that's one of the reasons, I obviously didn't know this at the time, but why I ran for office as a young mom, despite the challenges, is there needs to be more people saying these are the struggles that young mothers, that young growing families are dealing with today, not what you and your family dealt with 30 years ago, but what we're dealing with today. And that's one of the things that I started ringing the bells on a long time ago, reaching out to my Congress people about and trying to get the attention on. And so they say that they're working on it. They're airlifting in things. They're trying to reopen the Abbott facility, getting more FDA inspectors. I think one good solution would be to just allow us to import it. Not have to do these airlifts, not have all these restrictions on importing formula, and just let us import it from countries that aren't having any issues at all. I mean, someone even posted a picture. They were on a trip in Mexico and their stores were full. The stores in Canada were full. And so can we just import this and try to do right by parents? I did get a little pushback online by people saying, well, why don't you just breastfeed your baby? You know, people adopt babies. Not everyone can produce enough milk for their babies. And especially in the communities I run in with the mothers of multiples, it's not even an option usually to exclusively breastfeed them when there's multiple babies nursing at once. And so it's a need, not a want amongst moms. And I pray every day that this gets solved soon.
You know, it's terrible. It's horrendous. And I can't believe it even got to this point. I mean, how did we get in the spot where other countries have formula and we don't?
You know, we have some of the most strict restrictions on importing formula. And then when the Abbott facility closed, that was just what kind of set the whole thing ablaze, because we were noticing a shortage. I want to say 4 or 5 months ago, I was noticing that sometimes the store would be out where it always was stocked to the brim with what we needed. So the supply chain shortages were starting to exacerbate the problem. And then when the Abbott facility closed and they had to do a massive recall, that just broke the supply chain as a whole.
What can we do as listeners to help move this along?
I would reach out to your Congress people. I know that Representative Elise Stefanik had a bill that would address the lifting of restrictions on importation. Right now, the formula we're bringing in, we're just airlifting in pallets. That's like putting a Band-Aid on a hole in a dam. That's not going to solve the problem. And her bill also makes it so that there are more opportunities for smaller businesses to get involved in this. We saw this with the pandemic, where all of a sudden distilleries are making hand sanitizer, and people who make CPAP machines are converting them to ventilators. There's always that American ingenuity and resourcefulness, and her bill kind of taps into that as well. Do we have places that could be making the formula? Can we speed up the FDA approval process here? I think that's a bill really worth looking into. So reaching out to your congressperson to tell them to give that a hearing, I think would go a long way.
Well, and what are we going to do about it today? I mean, you know, that process takes a bit of time. And I know that a lot of the women who are unable to get the formula, what are they doing?
I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of Facebook groups where moms are trying to connect with other moms. If you are listening and you don't know how to get into those groups, you want to be more involved in them. Sorry, the garbage truck's coming back. Still less distracting than 3 kids in the house. Reach out to me, reach out to my Senate email, send.julia.coleman@senate.mn, and I'll find a way to get you into those groups. There's also a number of moms offering up their freezer stash of breast milk for the babies that are in need. And keep an eye out at your local stores. Even if you're not currently a mom, you're not currently raising children or breastfeeding or formula feeding. I see a lot of women and dads online too. If you see that your store is stocked, snap a picture and post, FYI, this store, this is what time this is available at. So that can help moms save a lot of hours driving from store to store to store and know exactly where to go.
Yeah, and we'll have that link as well on our YouTube page, friends, for your reference. You can just click on it. You can go to our website and just click on it, and we'll directly take you to the link that she had mentioned. It just breaks my heart that this is happening to these little babies. I'm going to shift gears a little bit, and I'm going to talk a little bit about legislature. So legislation, maybe I should say. You're full of, just to have 3 children is a full-time job. And then you also are working in the Senate as well. And let me ask you this question. And, be honest, I'm sure the answer might be yes, but have you had any kickback from your fellow workers, from other senators, et cetera, because you're a mom of 3 young kids and now you're in the Senate?
I did when I first got started. There was a little bit of pushback. The most I got was when I was running, and it was unfortunately from female voters, which surprised me the most. But I think a lot of people saw what I was capable of pretty quickly, and that talk stifled down in short order. And people also learned really quickly that I didn't tolerate that kind of rhetoric. There's something unique about women in politics, and if they have kids at home, versus a female surgeon or a female executive, and people who have equally, if not more so, demanding jobs. But for every one person that had a snarky or negative comment, there was 50 who were supportive and how can I help? And, oh, your nanny's sick. I'll present your bill for you today. What can I do to give you a hand? And that's been the most eye-opening, amazing thing, is that there is this village at the legislature that wants moms here. They want their voices here. They want them to succeed. And they're willing to put in the effort to be a part of that village to make it happen.
That's wonderful. That is just wonderful. And I'm glad to hear it, because it does take a village. It takes all of us together to participate. You have always had your heartbeat defending families. People and families are struggling today to live with high gas prices, with inflation, taxes, which you're, of course, on that committee. And I just want to share this quote. Senate passes Coleman's innovative paid family leave legislation to expand across and support Minnesota families. This was your bill introduced to offer tax incentives to businesses that offer the benefit to their employees. Businesses want to offer their employees more, and families need more help. We're going to get into the second part of the show, deeper into the challenges of a proposal that you were fighting for, private market paid family leave. And before we get to that, though, on the next show, I want you guys to tune in. I want you to listen, because this impacts not only businesses, it impacts families. It gives us an opportunity to be flexible, not only in the workplace, but in family issues as they come up, and for paid leave. And how can the Senate help those that are struggling with their finances and the costs and things that are happening in life? Friends, you know that no matter what happens on this earth, God is in control. Jesus is at the helm, and all we have to do is reach out to him. And maybe he's waiting today for you to invite Jesus into your heart so you can have that same peace that Senator Coleman talked about when she was struggling with the issues with her family, and also as far as being guided in the Senate. Tune in, friends, to the next show, because I really don't want you to miss it. Senator Coleman, thank you for joining us on part 1. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully the garbage trucks will stay at bay for the second show. And we'll see you, friends, coming up in just a minute. My name is Shug Bury, him for her radio Women's Hot Topics. You know I love you. Over and out.